we keep taking hits on our forces in the region. Joining me right now to talk more about that is Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. He's a member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committees. He's also a retired Green Beret and National Guard colonel. Congressman, thanks very much for being here today. We appreciate your time. How would you assess these attacks on U.S. troops in the Middle Eastern region?
Well, Maria, as Liz was just saying, this is all about Iran, 100%. And as long as Tony Blinken is making the rounds in the Middle East and not announcing a 180, a complete reversal on their Iran policy and in a return to maximum pressure, you are going to continue to have these attacks. And then number two, until we impose costs on Iran itself, as the Trump administration did by taking out Soleimani and by going after the regime's business interests. Remember, the IRGC controls 30 to 40% of Iran's economy. Then these things are just going to continue because Iran will trade proxy casualties, proxy lives for American and Israeli lives all day long.
Well, we're worried that we are actually headed for World War III right now. A lot of people are worried about an attack on U.S. soil, especially after this warning from Iran. The defense minister of Iran said that the U.S. will, quote, be hit hard if it does not stop the war in Gaza and secure a ceasefire. Former President Obama also weighed in on the conflict, and he basically gave it moral equivalency, saying both sides are to blame for this conflict and nobody's hands are clean. Congressman, your thoughts?
Well, that was incredibly rich coming from President Obama, who yanked us out of Iraq with no plan, no backup plan. And years later, we have the rise of ISIS that soon was running a caliphate with the economy the size of Austria, that entered us into the JCPOA, that made Iran flush with cash, that did the original hostage trade. And oh, by the way, let's not forget Benghazi and the attack on September 11th, 2012, and the subsequent cover-up to try to say it was because of a video. So, his Middle East policy was an absolute disaster. But what's so frustrating, Maria, is the same team that's been around Obama that was around Obama is now around Biden. So they have essentially been creating this mess since 2009, and we're undermining President Trump even in the 4 years that he was in. And despite that, he was able to get to record-breaking historic Middle East peace in just a few years.
Yeah. And you remember when Biden first walked into the Oval Office, I was told that staffers were told, don't even mention the Abraham Accords. Do not raise the Abraham Accords. Don't mention it, because they were so, hell-bent on dealing with Iran and doing a nuclear deal. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was the architect of the Abraham Accords. He joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures to discuss the other angle we're watching, and that is China. Watch.
The Chinese Communist Party talks about American decline, but they don't just talk about it, they advocate for it. And you see that in all forms of social media. You see that in their espionage operations here in the United States. They are deeply watching the United States. They're working alongside Hamas, cheering them on, in spite of the fact that there were 1,400 barbaric deaths. And we shouldn't forget 30 Americans who lost their lives that day as well. The Chinese Communist Party, the Russians, the Iranians, they are all working against the basic human decency that America has stood for 250 years, and they are knee-deep in this conflict as well. And they're watching how we behave in Ukraine today.
And, Congressman, I also spoke with the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Michael Mullen, yesterday, who is worried that the U.S. and China's relations are actually coming apart, as he called it. Watch this.
I just think if we decouple, we have no way to communicate, and we have every way to miscalculate. I'm actually happy to see us to start talk about nuclear weapons. Chinese, their buildup of nuclear weapons, these weapons that can essentially eliminate the world, has been extraordinary. And to not be able to have discussions about how do you contain those weapons, which could end life on Earth, I think is really important. And if we're completely apart, there's no way to have those discussions as they build up their military and their capability.
about that, Congressman? They're building up their capability, but are we building up ours?
Not under this administration, Maria. I mean, they're going backwards in terms of the number of ships. They're not investing in our industrial capacity when it comes to steel, aluminum, shipyards, and workers. And I have to respectfully disagree with the former chairman. You have to go to the table with the Chinese from a position of strength. And I do not trust John Kerry over there begging for carbon reduction when they're building more coal-fired power plants than the rest of the world combined. And I'm incredibly nervous about what concessions this administration may be making at the nuclear talks table with the Chinese right now as we speak. So we have to enter it in from a position of economic strength. President Trump and Mike Pompeo knew that. I have zero confidence with the appeasement strategy and approach that we've seen from this administration. When you have a spy balloon flying across our nuclear sites, and yet we're begging them for meetings just for the sake of it, that is not the right approach for diplomacy. And that makes me very nervous that we're entering into these talks right now, because I don't know what the framework of strength is and what the leverage is that we're bringing to the table.
Very disturbing indeed, Congressman. Thank you very much for being here and for your service. Michael Waltz joining us this morning.